Before using an adapter ring or dust shroud, you may need to get your grinder ready for installation. First, use the grinder supplied lock wrench tool to loosen the locking nut. Then, unscrew the nut and remove the cutting disc. Then, remove the spacer and use a Phillips screwdriver to release the grinder guard. Twist or rotate the guard and lift it off of the grinder. Finally, unscrew and remove the grinder handle, and you are ready for the adapter ring and shroud installation. When we fit an adapter ring, in this case to a Makita GA9050, every single adapter ring has a groove, and that locates into the corresponding groove on the crankshaft crankcase housing. This could also be referred to as a gearbox housing, depending on the machine. There are two ways up that the adapter ring can go on: up or down. When you fit an adapter ring, the shroud fits neatly on top of it. What you don't want is for the shroud ring to be higher than the blade locking ring. When we're fitting it, we can simply put one half of the adapter ring on to see if it works. In most instances, and on some machines, it physically won't fit, and it's very obvious in the way that the adapter rings will go on. But you can always check yourself by using one half of the adapter ring to test. Once you are happy with the height of the adapter ring, you can secure the two halves. When you look at the two halves, there will be a small gap between the two. There is meant to be. The gap should be equal on both sides. You don't want to do it up so tight that they join together. At the end of the day, the adapter ring still has to turn. It is not a fixed item. Supplied in the adapter kit, you will have 2 bolts and an Allen key. The screws on the adapter ring are done up snugly so that it holds it, but not so tight that it becomes completely immovable or you are locking it on. That is not the idea. On the AGS-230, you only have 3 holes, but on the smaller AGS-125 shroud, you have 6 holes. Supplied with the shroud, you will find 3 coarse thread flat bottom screws. Use the 3 screws to line up the shroud to the adapter ring. Locating the first hole will result in a nice snug fit. Again, you do not need to tighten the screws completely. This will help you fit the remaining 2 screws into their corresponding holes. Sometimes it can take a moment to locate the second and third holes. Next, you add the drive plate or blade plate to the grinder. At this time, if you add a cutting disc to the grinder, the disc will jam up against the shroud. To prevent this, you can use an aluminium machined ring, which easily fits onto the grinder. This will lift the blade so that it sits centrally in the shroud. The blade locking ring then clamps down on top of the cutting disc. You can now fit the shroud blade guard. You will notice that it has a little groove that locks into the corresponding point on the shroud. The blade guard then twists into the shroud. You will see locating points above and below that help to guide the blade guard click into place. To release the blade guard, simply press down on the quick release press button. Lastly, included in the shroud kit you will find a Vacuum Adaptor Kit, which comprises of several adapters to help you depending on what job that you are doing. You could use the rubber adapter, which pushes into the plastic adapter. You can then add the spring clip adapter to connect to various vacuums. You can then use this with a standard vacuum hose or power tool hose that will push into these adapters. Friction fit that will hold it in place. This then screws onto the end of the shroud and you can attach your vacuum. Alternatively, with a standard 40mm vacuum hose, you can use the adapter collar to screw onto the hose, clipping them together. This sets you up with a dedicated hose for any of the MAXVAC shrouds. It will fit onto the smaller shrouds, the drilling shrouds, and even onto the impact hammer shroud.